Hey everyone, I made two purchases recently and I thought they were rather interesting. One was some stock, the other one was a fridge. Now, I put in a whole lot of thought into the fridge that I bought, and it was a lot of research and measuring and making sure I had the right fridge of the right make. I got, if you care, an LG, French door kind of fridge with the freezer on the bottom, with no water feature, although there seems to be a water feature for the ice cubes, but well, whatever. And the stock I bought, I thought, it'd be cool to get into this Bitcoin thing. So I bought a company, Hive, that makes Bitcoins. Now, which do you think I put more research into? The fridge. So last time I made a video about stock buying tips, and I didn't even use those stock tips for making this decision. It was a spur of the moment kind of, I think I'll get into it. And I think that's a problem. I think lots of people, when they buy stocks online, well, I assume it's online, or maybe you're calling your broker or however you do it, they don't put as much thought into buying stocks, which should appreciate in value and do you well in the future as you do other purchases. And I think that's a mistake, maybe, but I'll tell you why I think it might have been okay in this case. But in general, maybe I should have learned even more. Like in the last video, I talked about those several tips. I think it was 8. And I also said, there's a whole lot more to it than that. And so you need to do a lot of research, because after all, even though I gave the tips, I'm not a financial advisor. So you shouldn't take my word for it. You've got to do your own research. But anyway, so even say you become an expert. You go to school for years, you study videos, you study text, you learn from mentors, and you become an expert in the field of the stock market, analyzing companies, and all that stuff. How well are you going to do then buying stock? Because after all, when you buy stock, you want to make sure that you get a good one. You want to make sure that you get one that appreciates in value, that it will do well in your portfolio. So you want to make sure that you buy stock that is good. So what is a good stock? A stock is one that does well for you, but hopefully it'll beat the market, because if it doesn't beat the market, you might as well just buy the market. And by the market, I mean buy some ETF that tracks the market. So you could just buy the ETF, which is a portfolio of funds, and sorry, an ETF is a portfolio of stocks, although it could be a portfolio of funds too. There's lots of kinds of ETFs, but anyway. So you can buy an ETF that tracks the market, or you can try to buy your own stocks, or you can do some combination. So when you do buy your own stock, though, hopefully it'll actually beat the market, because why bother otherwise, unless you just like buying stock. So all these people that are out there that are experts in the field of buying stock, how well do they do? Well, it's been shown, and you can do research online, and there's lots of videos about this, that even the experts over the long term don't beat the market. There's very, very few experts that can beat the market. I think the number was like 80-something% of the experts couldn't beat the market over the long term. YouTube, Ben Felix, he has a great video about why it's so hard to beat the market. I highly recommend you look it up. It's called Why It's So Hard to Beat the Market. So it's really hard to beat the market, and even the experts can't beat the market. So the question then becomes, why do you think that you can beat the market? Because I bought that Hive stock a little while ago, and somebody actually sold it to me. So that means they think, hey, I don't want the stock, and I was thinking, hey, I do want the stock. So what makes me smarter than that guy, right? Anytime you do any purchase, what makes you smarter than the guy that's selling it to you? So you have to wonder, is it really worth buying individual stocks? Should I buy individual stocks in my portfolio? And the short answer is no. I mean, if you want your portfolio to do well, to beat the market, you're just better off buying ETFs. Don't take my word for it. Here, I got a little quote here. But wait, before I want to show you this one. Just buy ETFs. I even wrote it down. An ETF is an exchange-traded fund. It's just a basket of stocks or a basket of other ETFs. And you can buy an ETF that tracks the market and does you really well. So anyway, I was going to say, don't take my word for it. Listen to Warren Buffett. He's a pretty famous investor called the Oracle of Omaha. He's made a pretty good amount of money for himself investing in the stock market. And he says, a low-cost index fund is the most sensible equity investment for the great majority of investors. Warren Buffett. If you don't trust Warren Buffett, even though he's done pretty well for himself, you might want to listen to Peter Lynch, also a famous investor. Most investors would be better off in an index fund. So the question is, should you be in an index fund or should you be buying stocks for yourself? Well, I think that for my retirement, an index fund is the way to go. Actually, more than one index fund, several index funds. They say, 3 to 7 index funds, 4 to 6, 3 to 5, in that range, depending on who you listen to. So currently I'm trying to figure out the best set of index funds to buy, best set of ETFs to buy for myself, for my portfolio. I already own lots of ETFs, but I'm thinking about paring it down because I made decisions that might not have been optimal, so to speak. So I will also be selling some of my stocks. I already sold some last week, was it the week before, to buy ETFs with. So I'm deciding which ETFs I should buy, and I'm going through that process right now, selling off stock and buying some ETFs and deciding what kind of portfolio of ETFs I should put together. That said, can I still buy stock? And I think for those of us who like the stock market, yeah, sure, why not? But I decided I am not going to buy large amounts of stock anymore. I'm only going to buy small amounts of stock. A while ago, I bought Tesla, for example, because my son, he really likes Tesla. So I thought, we can say that we own a part of Tesla. I bought one stock of Tesla, and actually it's gone up pretty significantly for me, which was fun and making me think maybe I should have bought more, but you can't say maybe I should have bought more and beat yourself up because you don't know. What if it had gone down? And that's the whole reason why buying individual stocks is a loser's game in the long run, I think. But if you really want to, keep it to a minimum. At least that's what I would do. And that's what I am going to do going forward. Shopify is a great Canadian company. And I'm Canadian, so I bought some Shopify. But I only bought a very few stocks because I thought it'd be fun. And my recent purchase of Hive, I only bought $250 worth. Because even though blockchain, Bitcoin, all that stuff has been going crazy, you don't know if it's going to crash because you can't see the future. And that's the whole thing about buying individual stocks. You can't see the future. You don't know. You can guess, but that's all it is. It's a guess. So that's what I'm doing moving forward. I am buying ETFs and not stocks. And actually, I shouldn't say not stocks. I should say a minimal amount of stocks. So my portfolio is going to be ETFs and stocks might do well, they might do poorly, but I can have the fun of buying stocks, but it's not going to make a big difference to my retirement which stocks I buy because I'm not planning to put a lot in there. So watch out for a video on how I chose my portfolio. I have not actually decided how to do that yet, so I'm in the process of learning all about that. So that's probably going to be my next one, although I'm not sure. Stick around for it. See you around.